Hi everyone. I've made a video for you today because I'm really aware that lots of people are frightened right now, and I don't want you to be. I want you to understand what's happening to your life, to the global world, and I want you to see where we're going to be in a year's time, because I think that will really help if you can focus on where we're going to, not really particularly where we're at right now. But this behind me is a pattern. I'm going to talk through it. Last year I made a video and sent it to all of my students. It was called Electrical Storms, and so I did know this was going to happen. I did predict that this time of this year that we would be where we're at. Now the good news is that I'm also now offering you, so we've lost paradise, but now we're going to return to it. So what I'm offering you today is a way through what for some people is a very dark time, but I'm happy to show you this because I think you're really going to connect with it on different levels. And so what's happened, first of all, is that there has been a fall. So that's what starts this pattern. So I study patterns in nature, and the reason why I study patterns in nature is because they help me see the patterns as an analyst that are happening in our mind. And so at the moment we're really overusing the part of the mind called the amygdala. So lots of people are very scared. So I want to teach you how to navigate all of this and calm down. So this is what's happening. The pattern itself, it starts with a fall. Now none of us want to fall down, but it's woven into life that sometimes we do. And what's happening at the moment is that we're all falling together. That's why some people think, it's the end of the world. But it's actually, I'm really pleased to tell you, the beginning of our next chapter, our next human chapter. Now, if you can see behind me, I've written the word crisis, because I looked at this word years and years ago when I was going through this pattern. That's how I know you can come out of it. Is that the word crisis actually is a double meaning in the East. It also means opportunity. And so one of the things I teach in class is to make every experience that you have, no matter what colour it is, work for you. So that's every experience work for you. And what you can get out of this next few months that we're going to go through is that you get to make a decision and a choice to regurgitate the old, or to level out to a new and better normal. So let me tell you this pattern then. So you've got the fall, first of all, that's what happens. There's this collapse. And so it might be a financial collapse. It might be, I talk in terms of economy and energy, but whatever. There's some kind of collapse that's happened in your world, external and internal, both. That's what sends people into panic. So if you look at my diagram here, what happens after the fall is we go into a shock. And that's where lots of people are at the moment. People at the moment are between here and kind of here. All right, they're between the shock and the choice and the panic. And so shock is very upsetting. It can cause all of our neural responses to be onto alert, and that's what's happened. Everybody's gone into shock. But actually, shock is also a way to hibernate your mind. So there's the upside of shock. What happens next is number 3 here, is there'll be a choice for you to make. Now the choice that you're asked to make at this moment is really love or money. And so what are you going to do? Are you going to choose love, which is kind of reverse intuition, it seems at this point? Because if you choose love, you go lower. And so this is the bit that a lot of people struggle with. And I know some of you do spirituality, and at this point you're separating out self and ego. And I've always been an advocate that the way everybody heals is not through separation, but through unification of opposites. And so here you get a choice. There's going to be a separation. So the separation is where you're separating. Why people are really freaked out at the moment is simply, and it is simple, I know the repercussions, but hear me out. The reason people are concerned at the moment is because you are separating away from everything that is familiar to you. So your jobs, your income, the way of life. And lots of people have been saying, lots of ecologists have been looking at the world, at the planet, and saying that, you know what, it's broken and it needs fixing. And a lot of us agree with that and don't really know what to do. Well, this has come to a head. And so the choice that you make here is love or money. Now, the money one, if you make the money choice, and that seems the one that we want to make, doesn't it? Because, you know, the reason why we're really afraid just boils down to three things. So let's just get those out of the way right now. What you're primarily afraid of is loss. You're afraid of losing all sorts of things. I mean, this could be a whole nother seminar on loss itself. You're afraid of losing your status, your income, and food, because food is our primary survival. But actually, if you really have a look at those things, this is why it's an opportunity, because those, we worry about health, wealth, and relationships, all of us. That has been the monster keeping us awake for years and years, all of us. And so it's what I call the poverty monster. So it comes forward with these three heads: health, wealth, and relationships. But I've really, really analysed this, and those of you that study things like spirituality and perhaps Carl Jung, he said something years ago that I really had to get my head around. He said, we don't become enlightened by imagining images of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And then I thought, hold on, Freud was saying this too, because he was saying that people don't want to do this work. And I've watched lots of people do mindfulness, but I've also had my eye on the yin and the yang, because as you bring one up, you bring the other one up. But the good news is that this can balance out. So we have the power of choice. Do you want to get bitter and follow what is apparently the uproot because of money, because you're panicking? Or do you want to get better and contribute to our whole humanity and choose a less familiar but ultimately better path? All of us. Now, some of us have been around this track before, lots of times. I've been around this track lots and lots of times. I've looked these poverty monsters in the face. In fact, I really have realised that life is great when it's all sunshine, but actually, if we become familiar and comfortable in this most difficult experience, then we have the rest of life better. The opportunity is going to be better for us. We'll not have the whole thing sussed, because that's why we're here to learn and experience life. So have a look at this. This is hair decisions. This is why people are going out and panicking, because they're sensing that there's this kind of sort of doom coming. Well, I'll just tell you the whole pattern, because if you're feeling the sense of doom, that's just half of the pattern, which is why I'm showing you this. All right. So, choice here. Last week I had to make this choice. A really, really, really difficult choice, to choose the love of my students over money. And so that's where I'm at. But I've been through this before, so it's an old pathway for me. But here's where we go. It's change. That's what then freaks people out, the change. Now, change is a process. And people get impatient through change because they think, I must sort this out. I can't let this happen. I've got to kind of hold everything together and control everything. So now I'm going to tell you to do almost exactly the opposite. I want you to slow time down. So crazy is going to go fast, but you are going to go slow. There's a reason why we're being told to go home, not just to isolate, but this isn't isolation, this is transformation, global transformation. And I want us all to be able to do this. Going home, energy-wise, is to go back to our heartland and to really think about what's important. Now, I don't know about you, But I've been thinking that our systems and the way the world's been running has been broken for a very long time. There's been a massive imbalance through lots of different disciplines or different areas. And also, getting up the crack of dawn to go to the office, to work a whole day, to drop home in the evening just so you can pay your bills. I would really like, when we come out of this, that the people in business listen up, really take this opportunity to change the working life, to reduce hours because you get better profits from it, and to not make people work for as long and as hard as we have been. Like, we're getting older, I'm getting older, and as you get older, you need to kind of sit down a bit. And so we need to accommodate people that are getting tired. And so that is one of the good things that come out of this. There'll be a whole rethink about how we can restructure our lives. And so let's get back to the diagram. So I want you to go into tortoise time. So I'm going to invite you into the TARDIS, and we are going to slow everything down. And I'm going to redirect you to the things that are really important. So what's really important is, keeping your home nice and tidy. And by the way, I've got a really great little day schedule here for you. So it's a real simple thing to follow. So if you want a copy of that, just follow the link below the video, and I'm going to tell you how to get through every single day, even if you're isolating on your own at home, because we need to keep health in all the different areas. So psychological and body health and spiritual health. So if you want that, click on the link. If you go through here, now I know sometimes I say kind of like weird things to my students, so I'm just going to say something a bit weird here now. There might be a bit of a medical thing, like a nosebleed or something here. Something, the colour red, but it's going to actually tell you whereabouts you are on this pattern. And so here we get to the bridge. So we get a temporary relief from our suffering. And we can rest here a while. It's woven into this pattern, so we can have a moment to breathe, and that is the next thing to tell you to do. So I want you to, just appreciate being able to breathe, and just breathe into your stomach. Low and slow is how we go here. No panicky breaths. Just calm it all down. So I need to take the heat out for you, because up here is hot and down here is cool, but I want you to go through this nice and calmly. Down here, there's going to be a revision of your contracts, and I mean the term contracts in all domains. So I'll leave you to consider what your contracts are at work and at home and in life, because here is where is your you're coming up here to your second choice. You can choose to join the panic crazy, to rejoin it, or you can choose to reincarnate yourself within life. We have Phoenix lives. I wrote an article on that. It's on my website. So Phoenix lives is where we reinvent ourselves throughout life. And so we have to go through this process of letting the old skin fall away, and they can feel a little bit uncomfortable. But actually, every butterfly has been through a catalyst, and that's what this is. I'm just showing you here so that you don't make panic decisions as you're going through something that's unfamiliar for you. Okay, here you're going to get an intervention. Yeah, maybe it's this video. Well, we'll see. But anyway, so here you get the intervention. And I wanted to show you, but there's a sort of, before you get out of this pattern of transformation and change, there's going to be a temptation up to a false prophet. And I'll leave you to consider what that means as well. I just want you to be aware of it. I don't want you to follow anybody else. Your intuition, like you, is perfectly programmed to get you through this, and you can rely on that. Nature, one of the fundamental principles in nature is homeostasis and balance. Now your body and your brain and your mind, your whole system has been programmed from birth to return on its own without your interference to homeostasis, so to balance. Now, people that are meditating, instead of separating out self and ego, I'm going to ask you to reflect on the concept of balance being an integration of self and ego. And, we sit in the driver's car and have choices, and then the ego's in the passenger seat. That's how I work my mind. That's your power resource when you need it most, okay? In a way, we have regressed. So that this pattern is quite scary because it's a pattern of regression back to where we were, which sometimes in childhood wasn't a great place. That's what this poverty does. It regresses us back to a childlike state that for some people was quite traumatic. And that's why there's so much concern about. But let me tell you the upside of that. You have returned to that position so that you can do it differently this time. You and all of us are in a much better position with all of our connections on the internet and our networks that we've got. If we work them well, then we are in a great position to create a better life, a better internal life for ourselves, a peaceful life, and still contribute to the working world. And that is what I wanted to show you here. Here is about uniting the opposites, as I've said. So it's about community. Here is where we so we've done the three heads of the monster. We've done loss, and we're okay. We're breathing through this, okay. And then we've got the separation of attachments to everything. And then when we rejoin, I want you to think about the relationships and investing in positive relationships. And while you're down here in the contract phase, as you're sitting at home, why don't you redesign your life? And this time next summer, people, we will all of us, be in a much better place. That doesn't mean we've died and gone somewhere, just by the way. Okay, it means that we have transformed, we have reincarnated ourselves into a new global mind. Now on this note then, so when we come here, this is lovely because now we're in the Greenlands, and so this is a nice place to be. So let me just read you the list of what I wrote this morning to remind all of you what we're going to go to. So this is my prediction. This time for next year, this is where we're going to be. All right, so choose today. By the way, can you turn off your televisions and stop watching that news? Because you're accidentally buying into it. Open a book, right? Go and phone somebody, have a nice chat. You're going to choose, don't forget, what you're going to buy into. But this is where we can all get to. And I just want to highlight this pattern for you, because this isn't my pattern. This is the pattern of nature. This is the pattern of life. This is the fundamental frequency of life. And this is where we can get to. We will all have learned to cut our cloth, so we'll be more frugal. That means we'll be more appreciative. Instead of throwing loads of food away, this next phase, we're going to get creative with our food. I've gotten creative already, let me tell you. There's always fridge soup, okay? We're going to realise what's really important and have faith in that. We've lost trust because we've been going down this path of expectation and social obligation, and I think we've so far come away from who we are that we've lost trust in this. So realise what's really important to you, and then start investing in those things. Okay, next one. We're going to invest more in human bonds and relationships. So the good that will come out of this, because there's always a sun comes out after the moon. It's just a natural pattern, can you see? So the good that's going to come out of this is that actually we are all going to start to be nice to each other, because we will have known that we've all just been through this. So the kindness starts today, doesn't it? if you're called into service today, then your kindness starts today. We're going to change our collective working lives to put our humanness before the moneyness. We've given money far too much power. It's time to reclaim it back, and invest in ourselves, because we're good people. We just kind of slipped off there for a bit. So the next thing is, globally, we're going to have less pollution, because we've all stopped driving for the moment, and I know what I'm saying about the repercussions of worldly travel, but this is temporary. But temporarily is going to be really good and enough for us to redress the carbon imbalances. Okay, I could say a lot about carbon, not just ecologically, but on the soul level, on memory, on carbon memory. Okay, we're going to have the opportunity to attend to not just our individual lives, but the planet globally. Because of this pause moment that we're having in humanity, the planet globally is going to have a moment to breathe. And you don't need me to teach you really that Mother Nature, this is nature's pattern. Mother Nature wants us to do well, but she also wants us to appreciate the planet on which we live. Next, going forward, we're going to anyway start paying attention to all being our carbon and our emissions, so the things that we're throwing out, and filtration. So be really aware of the things that you're letting come into your life now in your mind. That's why I said about the television. Put the filter on and turn the thing off, actually. Music is soul food, so let's do that. And then financially, all the industries will start to resurrect. And whether it's you individually, you as a boss, or us as a collective, the people that will get through this easier are the ones that are capable of some flexibility and change for the positive of, I'm saying humanity a lot today, but we have come to this. But the upspin of this is, if you're a boss watching this, then the best thing you can do for your staff right now is make your decisions out of love. And I appreciate that you've got one eye on finance, but we will come back up. And this is a test and a testimony. So this is the biggest test that any of us are going to have in our life. Now, the good news is, I'll just remind you, you've been here before. Now, I'm not talking about past life regression at this point. I'm just dealing with this life. You have been here before. And so you have some gifts in your psychological cupboard to help you through. So your first gift is humour. Now, not crazy hysterical humour, just really nice humour, because humour is the defence mechanism in the mind that doesn't ignore reality, because we've already been ignoring and had separation. Humour knows what's going on, but it chooses to use the strength of that to reform and grow. The next defence you have is you've already had experience. So you're going to use your past experience to help you get through this today. And so it's opposite to fighting, it's opposite to separation. It's calming down, switching off from all that could be crazy, but actually making a positive choice to use, please, in whatever way you can, look at this in the face and choose to make this work for you. Make this pattern work for you. Because when you come out this side, you'll be so much more better learned. And then going forward, you and me and our whole world could be a better place. And right now, whilst it feels like everything is falling, we have the collective ability to rise. Take care of yourselves. And so if you're at home, I've got a whole checklist here of things you can be doing during the day to keep yourself healthy and well and keep your mind protected and everything going forward. And then also click on the link below, because I'm in the process today of creating a whole summer school. It's going to be free for you. There's going to be lots of courses all on psychology, spirituality, psychoanalysis, the whole hologram. And so I've been preparing behind the scenes for this for years. So you're welcome to come into the centre of my education anyway, and join in the summer school. And I'll be putting up lots of different things to get us all through this. Take care of yourselves. Go back to love. And I look forward to seeing you in the near future. Bye for now.